When a woman pushes your button, tests your patience, or tries to provoke an emotional reaction, most men fall right into the trap. They snap, argue, explode, or try to defend themselves. And the moment you do that, you lose your power. You show her that her emotions control you. You show her that your state depends on her behavior. But a man who understands his value doesn't let anyone dictate how he reacts. Emotional self control isn't about suppressing your feelings, it's about mastering them. It's about remaining rooted, calm, and centered, even when someone tries to pull you into chaos. Because the truth is, the moment you react emotionally, you give your power away. You let the situation own you. But when you can look at her, listen to her, and still choose silence, still choose calm, still choose logic over impulse, that's when she realizes she's dealing with a man who cannot be manipulated. A woman may not say it directly, but she tests a man's emotional strength constantly. She wants to feel your stability. She wants to feel that no matter what energy she brings, you stay grounded. That doesn't mean you tolerate disrespect or accept emotional abuse. It means you don't let your emotions explode and create more chaos. You simply refuse to play the game. When she's emotional, you stay steady. When she's angry, you stay composed. When she pulls away, you pull your energy back. Not your self respect, your silence, your calmness, your ability to hold your frame becomes the thing that shakes her more than any loud reaction ever could. Because when you stop reacting, she starts thinking. When you stop exploding, she starts feeling the consequences of her behavior. Most men don't understand this. They believe reacting shows strength, but real strength is in the restraint. Real power is in the pause. When she sees you aren't triggered by her emotional storm, she feels something shift inside her. That loss of emotional control over you unsettles her. She begins to doubt her assumptions, question her approach, and rethink how she treated you. Instead of you falling apart, she's the one who starts spiraling. And the beautiful thing is, you don't have to punish her, confront her, or argue with her. Your inner peace already does the job. Your emotional discipline forces her to face herself. It forces her to acknowledge her own behavior without you lifting a finger. Women feel it deeply when a man remains calm in moments where most men would crumble. They're not used to it, they're not prepared for it. And when she realizes you won't react, you won't chase, and you won't explode, the balance of power shifts instantly. A woman respects a man who respects himself. A woman values a man who doesn't fold under pressure. When you maintain emotional self control, you show her the kind of man you are. And without even trying, you make her rethink everything, all without saying a word. When a woman becomes emotional, distant, dramatic, or inconsistent, most men automatically mirror that chaos. They raise their voice because she raised hers. They chase because she pulled away. They argue because she started an argument. And without realizing it, they abandon their own standards just to match her emotional energy. But a man who understands his worth knows that reacting emotionally doesn't solve anything. It only drags him down to a level where he never wins. You don't match your chaos, you match your principles. You respond based on who you are, not based on what she's doing in the moment. That's what separates a man who gets controlled from a man who commands respect. Because when you refuse to engage in drama, when you refuse to explain yourself 11 times, when you refuse to fight just because she wants a reaction, she quickly realizes you are not a boy who gets lost in emotions. You're a man who stands rooted in his values. Women feel safe with that. They trust that. But more importantly, they respect it. Staying calm doesn't make you weak. Holding your standards doesn't make you cold. It makes you someone who refuses to trade peace for temporary emotional satisfaction. And this is where things shift. When she acts out or pulls away, your job isn't to chase, negotiate, or beg for clarity. Your job is to hold your frame. If she disrespects you, you don't yell, you remove your energy. If she tries to test you, you don't fight, you stay steady. If she becomes inconsistent, you don't cling, you step back and let her feel the distance. It's not punishment, it's alignment. You don't engage with anything that goes against your standards. You don't water yourself down just to keep her close. The version of you she gets depends entirely on the version of her that she shows you. Most men think love means sacrificing their boundaries, but real love means protecting your peace and expecting the same respect you give. When you stop matching her emotional ups and downs, she's forced to face her own behavior. Suddenly, the drama isn't fun anymore. The emotional games don't land the same. She's gotten the reaction she expected. Instead of overpowering you emotionally, she ends up confronting her own reflection. That's when she starts thinking differently. That's when she starts regretting the way she acted. And that's when she starts softening, calming down, and trying to reconnect on your level. Because a man who won't match chaos becomes a man she must match instead. She feels the difference between someone who loses himself trying to keep her and then someone who refuses to bend just to avoid conflict. And when a woman recognizes its strength, true strength, it changes her behavior toward you. She realizes you are a man who leads with discipline, not emotion, a man who sets the tone instead of reacting to it, a man she can't easily manipulate, control, or destabilize. And that recognition alone is enough to shift the entire dynamic in your favor. Indifference is one of the most misunderstood forms of power in a relationship. Most men think they need to prove their feelings, explain their intentions, or fight for their position. When a woman starts pulling away or acting cold, they believe that if they don't react strongly, she'll think they don't care. But the truth is, nothing affects a woman more deeply than a man who refuses to be emotionally dragged into her storm. When you stop responding with anger, frustration, or desperation and instead meet her emotional swings with calm neutrality, it hits her in a way she never expected. Indifference isn't about not caring, it's about not letting her behavior dictate your state of mind. When you stay calm in the face of her emotional highs and lows, she feels something shift. She's used to men reacting, defending, or trying to fix the situation immediately. She's used to attention, reassurance, or emotional engagement. But when you don't give that, when you don't jump into the drama, when you don't feed the fire, she suddenly feels the absence. And that absence is louder than any argument you could ever have. She begins to realize she no longer controls the emotional tone. She no longer has the power to shake you, and that realization creates a discomfort inside her that keeps growing. Your indifference forces her to confront her own thoughts. She starts replaying every moment in her mind. She starts questioning why you're so calm. She starts wondering if she pushed too far because you're no longer reacting. She becomes the one who reacts. You're no longer over explaining, so she becomes the one who overthinks. You're no longer trying to fix anything, so she becomes the one who feels something is broken. That quiet shift in emotional responsibility is what makes her fall apart internally. She starts feeling the gap, the distance, the silence, and none of it feels good to her. And the beauty of indifference is that it requires no effort. You don't have to raise your voice, you don't have to argue, you don't have to chase. You simply stay grounded, focused, and emotionally stable. You maintain the same centered energy regardless of her emotional state. You choose peace, you choose logic, you choose self control, and those choices create a magnetic pull she can't ignore. Women are drawn to emotional certainty. They crave stability. They crave the presence of a man who doesn't crumble under pressure. When you show her that her emotional swings don't move you, she realizes she's dealing with someone she can't replace easily, someone she can't control through drama. Instead of pushing you, she starts pulling herself back. Instead of provoking you, she starts calming down. Instead of feeling confident, she starts feeling insecure about how she treated you. Indifference shakes her more deeply than anger ever will, because anger shows you still care. Indifference shows you've risen above the situation, something she never expected. When a woman pulls away, acts cold, or starts playing emotional games, most men make a fatal mistake. They obsess over her. They spend their days thinking about what she's doing, who she's talking to, why she changed, and what they can do to get her attention back. And the more they focus on her, the more power they give away. What they don't realize is that every second spent analyzing her behavior is energy stolen from their own growth, their own goals, and their own purpose. But a man who understands his value knows that the greatest shift he can make in these moments is to redirect his focus inward. Instead of trying to fix the relationship, he works on fixing himself. Instead of chasing her, he chases his mission. Women are naturally drawn to men who are grounded in purpose. They want to feel the gravity of a man who has something bigger than a relationship to pour his energy into. So when you stop overthinking her silence and start building your life, she feels that shift instantly. When you focus on your health, your mindset, your money, your long term goals, you create a momentum she can't ignore. Your attention is no longer centered on her reactions, it's centered on your evolution, and that's when she truly starts to feel your absence. Because while she may have expected you to argue, plead, or fight for her attention, she wasn't prepared for you to level up without hesitation. She wasn't expecting you to turn your silence into progress. She wasn't expecting you to use the distance to become sharper, stronger, more disciplined, and more confident. When she sees you improving without her influence, something inside her starts to crack. She begins to see what she's losing. She begins to see the version of you she can't replace easily. And instead of you falling apart, she's the one who starts questioning her decisions. Redirecting your energy doesn't mean you're ignoring your feelings, it means you're choosing to channel them into something productive. You take the same intensity you once invested in her and use it to build the life you deserve. You become so focused on your own growth that you no longer need her validation to feel whole. And when a man reaches that state of independence, he becomes magnetic. Women feel it even from a distance. Your silence is no longer empty, it's filled with purpose. Your absence is no longer passive, it's powerful. And the moment she realizes your world is moving with or without her, her attitude changes. She starts watching you more closely. She starts comparing the man you are now to the man she walked away from. She starts to fear the possibility that someone else will experience this elevated version of you. Your growth becomes the mirror she didn't want to look into, and it forces her to confront the truth. You didn't need her to become better, and that realization alone is enough to shake her on a level she never expected. There comes a moment when a woman finally realizes that the reaction she expected from you isn't coming. She prepared for the argument, she braced for the emotional explosion, she anticipated you pleading for clarity or demanding answers, but instead she gets silence, she gets calm. She gets a man who protects his peace more fiercely than he protects his ego, and that's when everything in her begins to shift. Your peace becomes the unexpected response that throws her off balance. It becomes the quiet consequence she never saw coming. Because when you stop trying to fix what she broke, stop trying to explain what she ignored, stop trying to chase what walked away, she suddenly feels the weight of her decisions in a way she didn't feel before. Most men don't understand how powerful peace really is. They think being calm means they're being passive. They think walking away means they're losing. But the truth is, nothing destabilizes someone more than realizing you are no longer emotionally available for their drama. You're no longer willing to engage in cycles of arguments, accusations, or reactive conversations. Instead, you choose silence, you choose distance, you choose composure. And the moment she feels your lack of reaction, she also feels the loss of the connection she used to control. When you show her that her words, her tone, her emotional swings no longer pull a reaction out of you. It forces her to face something she can't escape. Your peace is stronger than her chaos. She can yell, she can test, she can push, she can pull, but when you remain calm, she starts questioning why. She starts questioning what changed. She starts questioning whether she pushed too far. And those questions echo louder in her mind than anything you could have said out loud. Your piece becomes a mirror she didn't want to look into, reflecting her behavior in a raw, unfiltered way. And while she's busy analyzing your living, while she's wondering why you're not reacting, you're moving forward. While she's trying to figure out why nothing phases you anymore, you're putting your energy into your goals, your growth, your purpose. That difference between your calmness and her inner turbulence becomes the very thing that makes her unravel. She realizes she can't get the old version of you back, the one who reacted emotionally, the one who tried to fix everything, the one who let her behavior influence his mood. She realizes she's now dealing with a man who refuses to be thrown into emotional chaos just because she's having a moment. Your peace becomes the punishment she never expected because it forces her to feel what it's like to lose access to your emotional investment. It forces her to confront the silence. It forces her to sit with her own decisions instead of deflecting them onto you. She expected conflict, but instead she got calmness. She expected a fight, but instead she got distance. She expected anger, but instead she got indifference. And nothing breaks a woman's emotional momentum more than realizing you've elevated yourself beyond the reach of her volatility. There comes a moment in every silent standoff where the truth stops hiding. It shows up in the small things, in the way her messages get shorter, in the way your own confidence rises, in the way the energy shifts from panic to clarity. At first, you thought silence was breaking you. You feared losing her, feared losing control, feared the unknown. But now she's the one feeling that pressure because you're no longer reacting the way she expected. And unintentionally, you've shown her something far more powerful than any argument or explanation. You showed her that you're not a man who collapses under emotional weight. You showed her that your identity isn't tied to her responses, her moods, or her approval. You showed her that you can hold your line without trembling. And that changes everything. As the silence stretches, she starts replaying the timeline in her mind. When you stop chasing, when your tone shifted from tension to calm, when you stop giving her the emotional leverage she once relied on, she remembers how you used to text instantly, worry deeply, apologize unnecessarily. But now you carry yourself with a quiet certainty that she did not expect. You're not being cold, you're being grounded. You're not punishing her, you're respecting yourself. And a woman can feel that difference in her bones. She doesn't see distance, she sees growth. She doesn't see disinterest, she sees self respect. And the moment she realizes that, the silence stops being a test for you and starts becoming a wake up call for her. Because deep down, she expected you to break first. She expected you to crumble, to chase, to fix everything the moment tension appeared. She expected the old version of you, the one who let fear dictate his actions. But now your calm unsettles her, your peace makes her curious, your strength forces her to self reflect, and for the first time, she begins to question her own patterns, why she pulled away, why she created distance, why she pushed a man who was already willing to give her everything. That's when the silence becomes heavy for her, not because she wants control, but because she realizes she might lose something real, something rare, something she didn't treat with the intention it deserved. In that space, she starts to understand that your silence isn't revenge, it's evolution. You're becoming a man who chooses himself first, a man who doesn't argue for validation, a man who doesn't fear losing someone who isn't choosing him fully. And when a man reaches that stage, everything about his energy becomes magnetic. That's what begins to scare her. Not your distance, but your strength. Not your silence, but your growth. Not the possibility of losing you, but the possibility that she pushed away a man who finally learned his worth. And the truth is simple: when you stop breaking for people, they start breaking their patterns for you.